Yo, welcome back to Gridiron podcast. I'm your host, JB, as always. And joining me today, we got two of Pittsburgh's finest, all the way from Pittsburgh, as they had to make the long trek back, enjoying a nice hot L. We got DJ R&B, and we got Devontae Forever. What's good, fellas?
What up?
Yo, so before we get into week 4, and there was a lot of stuff that happened from the beginning of week 4 all the way to the very end of week 4. How was the trip to Pittsburgh? How was the game? I think it was both of your first times at Heinz Field.
Yeah.
Yep.
Acrisure Stadium, you mean?
Oh, they changed the name?
Acrisure.
I didn't even know that.
Okay. Heinz Field. I'm playing this Heinz Field.
Oh, like
but yeah, it was straight. Like the drive was kind of like rough, not gonna lie. I drove up from NC. So we go through West Virginia, and that's a boring state. Nothing but mountains and trucks and fog, but the game itself was fire. So
right. Devontae?
Pittsburgh was fire. Like I was there a little bit longer than Reggie was. Like I was there for like 4 days. I like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was interesting, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody was in there was like shockingly nice. Maybe it's because like I'm from New York and we're all like very brash and rude, get to the point, move out the way.
Right.
And then like there you got people they're just like, oh my God, hi, how are you? It's so good to see you. You're like,
like the people sitting next to me, like this older white couple, they was mad friendly. Like, where you from? This your first game? You want some peanuts? You want some fries? But I seen the movie Get Out, so I'm like, nah, I'm good. Appreciate it.
Oh, that's what's up, yo.
Yeah, like, and it's also like very like country, and as those people were, it's like we're more looked at as like we're more urban, more city like and stuff like that. So like when we were at
Oneonta, actually,
definitely remind me of Oneonta, but like 100%. So like we're at the game, so I'm at the game. I went with my friend, and like me and her are sitting together, and then out of nowhere, some dude, Mr. Bisky throws a pick, and then some dude gets up, and out of nowhere he just looks at me and her and goes, "You!" I'm like, "Nope, it's time to go. It's time to go." I look at her and say, "Yo, we changing seats. Get up, let's go." I don't know what that means.
That is crazy. So I know obviously you guys didn't catch the 1:00 slot games, but you saw the Thursday night game, you saw the Monday night game, and you saw the games after your game. Just quick initial thoughts on week 4.
It's a wild week, not gonna lie. Like a lot of like some teams play like I expected. They bounced back after a week 3 loss. Some teams they just blew it. But overall, I think it was a solid week, actually. Overall, a solid week.
I think the same thing. I think that like there's no like everybody's like I think like it's one of those weeks where it's like you're starting to see slowly but surely how teams are gonna look after like those first couple of weeks. Where like first couple of weeks everybody's a front runner, and then you see them slowly start to die down. So like I feel like that's what you're starting to see with teams like Baltimore and a lot of these other teams.
Yeah, for me, I think this is the official end of the preseason. I know some people may not want to hear that if their team is good or if the team is bad. It may be a sign of like good. It might be a good sign. But I think with the preseason, ain't nobody playing, right? Besides the rookies and some of like, even if you're a good rookie, you're probably not even playing in the preseason either. So I think now we're about to see like what teams really take off. But this first four weeks has been wild. Everybody's been beating everybody. We got some teams who seem like they're going to get out ahead, but you never know yet.
It seems like half the league is 2-2.
Right.
The one undefeated team left, and barely. They almost blew that one too.
Absolutely. And shout out to everybody watching. Comment down below what's your initial thoughts of NFL Week 4. So without further ado, let's jump right into the first matter of business. And of course, we got to start with the Thursday night game. We had the Bengals taking on the Dolphins, and good game. Shout out to the Bengals. I believe we all picked the Bengals to win. I think we did. Yeah. Last week we picked the Bengals to win. I figured the Dolphins, they stole 2 big games. I figured they was gonna get knocked off. But of course, as well as the Bengals played, we know what the headline was, right? And that was exactly what we predicted last week, literally. And that was Tua Tagovailoa. I'm sorry. Ended up getting knocked out of the game after the wobbly, almost kind of right. And we called it. So I'm going to start with Devontae. Obviously, he left the Thursday night game, and we know he's not playing next week. He's still in the concussion protocol. How does this look for the NFL right now?
Oh, it's lawsuit worthy for sure. Somebody getting sued. Somebody's getting fired. There's gonna be something crazy because like one, this looks horrible for the NFL for like its image look and also as a brand. So for example, like this is like for all like the people who are against playing football and stuff like that, who are against like because they cause concussions and stuff like that. This is why people say that. So like I think this looks horrible. It looks horrible for not only the NFL, but this looks atrocious for the Dolphins. Like this is horrible. Like the entire medical staff can get fired for this. Like the coaches. Like there's so much going on that could just literally this could weigh over the team for like the entire season. To be honest, on just how like dangerous this really was and stupid.
DJ R&B, what about you? How does it look for the NFL with Tua being banged up and when he probably shouldn't even have been in the game?
Yeah, I gotta agree with Devontae there. This is like definitely the worst case scenario. He got it when in week 3 when he got knocked out the game. It's kind of like, okay, they blew it. Let's sweep it in the rug. Hopefully it goes away. And it's definitely worst case scenario. I think they said the doctor who cleared him to play got fired already.
Yep.
Because he missed some things like. He missed the fact that the guy has a brain injury. Like,
right.
Like this is really, really bad. You see, they already ruled him out for next week already. Like, definitely worst case scenario. Like, pray for the man. Like, cause like he's not okay. Definitely. This is like super predictable. He's not okay. I said first time he get hit, his head hit the ground, whatever. He's out the game, and boom. Like worst case scenario.
Yeah. And then we got a comment in from Jessica that said miss some things in quotes, which is funny because literally we know I know they're independent, right? Like the doctor's independent, but he still reports to the team, to the team doctor. So it's like if the pressure is on for him to play or get back in the game, the pressure is on for him to get back in the game. You can and that goes from high school all the way to the pros, right?
Absolutely.
If a player is banged up with any type of injury, let alone a concussion, which is not a visual injury, and the coach is like, we need him back in the game, 9 times out of 10 that player goes back in the game.
Absolutely.
As for Tua, in terms of how I felt about it, it was funny because obviously we all kind of mocked, the neck and back injury when he came out of the Buffalo game and he went back in, and then everyone thought he was fine because he won the game. Both of you have had concussions playing football, as have I, of course. And one of the things you notice is, one, there's a few things that I felt like kind of got swept under the rug. One, the player's always going to want to go back into the game, right? And if Tua said, no, I don't want to go back in the game, they would have berated him all week long, right?
And it's soft and
So of course he wanted to go back in the game. So that's one.
Back up to the Dolphins. Is it Teddy Bridgewater? Who's the backup?
Yeah,
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, Tua is good, but I don't think he's like irreplaceable good. If you put in Teddy Bridgewater, like as we'll see this week when we do a prediction a little later, I don't see a huge drop off with the Dolphins offense.
Right. Yeah.
I don't get why the team fell pressure. It's not because week 16 you fighting for a playoff spot. It's week 4. Like that's why this whole thing is just
exactly.
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, but then from Tua's standpoint, because I've seen some people, well, why would he go back in the game if he knew it was hurt? Not even 2 months ago, you had people questioning if this man belonged in the league.
Right.
He's too small. He's not tough enough. And so, of course, he gets banged up. Of course, he wants to go in, and he's in his contract time for him. So he wants to get paid, protect his family, money. Of course, right?
Any player would do.
Right, exactly.
They're going to try to play. That's what every player does.
Right. Now, I'm going to ask both of you, when you had your concussions, was it just headaches and sensitivity light, or did you have some neck and back pain? Because it's all connected when it comes to the spine and the brain. Right.
Right. From limping, walking you out of the bed, everything is literally connected. Like it's not just headache. And you seen the coach on the flight back. Yeah, we watched the movie on the flight back. So you got a concussion. Now you got a bright ass TV in his face. Like this is getting worse. Like you can't
shut up. Like
you can't script it. Just stop talking to the media. Like
yeah. Look, I'm not at the point where like Mike McDaniel or some of these guys they got to go or whatever. And I know what Mike McDaniel's doing. Now he wants to come out and present a strong front, right? You don't got to ever worry about concussions and stuff with me. You can't stop concussions from happening. And 9 times out
No.
of 10, if the players, Bart Scott is obviously member of the Ravens and the Jets, and now of course he's a part of
Can't
ESPN.
wait.
He even said that players would fail the baseline test on purpose or like kind of get a low score because they know when they go get dinged in the game, you come back and you can like kind of, you know what I mean, beat the test to get back in the game.
Yeah.
And
I'm
anybody who played in college, we had to take those same baseline tests. And we had to, if you had a concussion, you had to go in and do the test. And I'm not going to call anybody out, but I will say personally, I myself and a bunch of people I know actually did the same type of thing when you're taking that baseline test. And instead of acing the test, you're going to do a little less on it because you know if I get banged up in the game and then I go and flunk that test, I'm out for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Yeah. So what Bart Scott did, it made me laugh because I did it without even realizing how stupid it was. Obviously, hindsight being 2020. But in the moment in 2013, I'm like, yo, I want to play. I want to be there for the team and everything. So I get what Tua was doing. It is up to the organization to protect him.
Absolutely.
He should have never.
That's the whole thing with the new safety protocol. I'm a little older. So when I played football in college, 2006, when I had my concussion, there was no baseline test. It was how many fingers I got up? 2. All right, get back in the game.
Yep.
Like ridiculously dangerous. So that's what they're trying to get away from. After this got all these lawsuits from CTE, players older committing suicide now, autopsy. They got the brain of an 80-year-old Alzheimer patient.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they're trying to avoid. Like,
absolutely,
got to do better. Got to do better.
100%.
Absolutely. So we got some comments coming in. Glenn Foreman, the NFL is a business. Most jobs don't really care about the employees. Why expect something different from the NFL? Absolutely. We know the NFL at the end of the day is about that bottom line, making money, getting fans into the game. So completely agree there. And Glenn also said Tua played because his job was on the line. Absolutely. If this was Brady or whatever, would they personally have wanted to play? Absolutely. But I feel like people are a little bit more precautious when they know that guy. But Tua's fighting, so of course he's going to want to be out there. He probably wants to play this weekend, but the team now feels the pressure to kind of protect him.
It's not on him; it's on the doctors. Like,
but my question is, fighting for who?
That's why you have third-party doctors. Like, it's on them to say, like, that's why I'm so confused. This whole situation is a mess. Like, did y'all pay them? Like,
right.
Like, yeah, like a reason. So,
right.
So, like, my question is, like, Tua fighting with who for his starting job? If you're saying, like, it's one thing if you're saying he's fighting for his contract extension. That's one thing because money is money. We understand. It's like, look what happened to Dak. Like, Dak, like, you see what Dak's turning out to be because he's always hurt. But like Tua, where I'm like, listen, most people didn't know Teddy Bridgewater was on the team until Thursday night. Like, he wasn't fighting with Teddy Bridgewater for his first. It's not like his starting spot was on the line. His contract is on the line, and then like you go through what 3-0. You go 3-0, and a lot of things about we were talking about concussions earlier is that like they're like, oh, well, if he had a concussion, how was he able to finish this game? It's called adrenaline. Adrenaline,
absolutely,
is 90% of it. You don't feel you don't got a concussion until you get out the game, until you get out of the game.
Like when I had my concussion, I was still practicing because I was just like, I just got a headache. It didn't really hit me until I got back to my dorm room, and I'm up all night, crazy headache. Can't really go to class, but football time. Oh, my headache went away. Time to go practice.
Adrenaline is a powerful thing, yo.
It's crazy.
It's all adrenaline.
We got a comment in from Vic Gonzalez. Yeah, you definitely old. Hey Vic, I'm glad they gave you a phone to check out the show from the senior home, man. Proud of you. All right, yo. So with that said, yo, let's get into some football, man. Obviously, Sunday night was probably the biggest game of the week. Look, man. Kansas City, as DJ R&B would say, quote unquote, GOAT Mahomes, took down what a lot of people consider as the GOAT Tom Brady in the Buccaneers, 41-31. So my question right now to Devontae, we saw the Chiefs, their run game, which that's kind of odd to say, right? Chiefs and run game. They ran all over the Bucs. The offensive line for the Chiefs played phenomenal against what I think is one of the top defensive lines in the league. The linebacking core for the Bucs is great, and the Chiefs offensive line just like manhandled them, and they ran the ball well, which allowed for Mahomes to do play action. Mahomes already is great without play action. So when you add in play action, he was picking them apart the entire night. So Devontae, are the Chiefs the best team in the AFC?
Well, first off, before we get into that, I'm going to just start off with saying I had the privilege, wherever you want to quote, to actually be sitting next to Reggie while watching this damn game, with him and his GOAT Mahomes chants every 5 seconds. Like, go, oh, you see that? GOAT Mahomes. He did the little flip and ends over the touchdown. GOAT Mahomes. GOAT Mahomes. I had to listen to that all day. Are the Chiefs the best team in the AFC? No. Why? Because it's way too damn early. More importantly, think about it. Nobody was saying none of this when they lost to the Colts last week. Nobody said none of that. For example, everybody was just on that Buffalo train that they were the best team, right?
True.
Buffalo, now that we're seeing that Buffalo has chinks in their armor, that they're not as like when Miami beat them, and how basically the Ravens was cooking them until the Ravens defense John Harbaugh just choked to like basically just choked to get the game back up. Nobody was talking about now all of a sudden, like nobody's speaking on the Bills. Like it's like a week to week basis. Like you said, this is more like the preseason. So am I gonna say the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC? No. Because let's be real here. The Bucs don't look as good as we thought they did after the first 2 weeks either. Because that offense is just not there. But I will say the Chiefs having a run game will damn near probably could walk. If they can keep this run game up, they might walk to the AFC Championship. Just walk. I don't care what the record ends up. They're going to, because that run game will be damaging in the playoffs for teams. Because we all know the best teams, the best offenses can run the ball in the postseason, pretty much go to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. So I think that's going to be incredibly important.
And when you think about it, that's actually how the Bengals put the Chiefs away. Joe Burrow did his thing. He played good. Don't get me wrong. But they were able to run the ball and did go to overtime. And obviously, Mahomes threw the pick. But at the same time, the Bengals with their ground game, that's what kind of got them back into the game in the first place. Now we're going to pass it on to DJ R&B, leader of the quote-unquote GOAT Mahomes fan club. Take it away.
I mean, absolutely they're the best team in the AFC. Like, what kind of question is this? Like, just look at them. Like, yeah, I think Buffalo would be the best team, but they have a lot of injuries. Buffalo's missing a lot of players, which we'll get to Buffalo a little later in the show.
Yep.
But just watching the game, Patrick, like, they can run the ball. They're running the ball effectively. They got the best quarterback in the league who makes ridiculous throws. Like, I believe on one of the shows, they said he's like the Barry Sanders of quarterbacks. It's like, what is that? You're literally falling down. You do a falling jump shot. Perfect throw. Like, what is that? Like you can't even do those kind of throws in Madden. You literally can't do those throws in Madden.
Right.
That's NFL blitz stuff. Like the Chiefs literally, like, first of all, that game are people talking, oh, that's a dope shootout with the GOAT Tom Brady. That was not a shootout. That was a blowout.
Yeah.
They came back at the end to make it look respectable. Anybody watching that game was never in doubt at any point in the game.
Yep.
When it was up for 21-3. Then it was 21-10, then 27-10, then 31-10. Like that game was never in question.
Yep.
They took the foot off the gas a little bit in the fourth quarter, which you don't want to get players hurt. Of course you do, but that was the blowout. So obviously, yes, they're the best team in the AFC by far.
All right, so we got one says no, one says absolutely. I'm somewhere in the middle. I can't tell yet because although they played well, obviously they came out, they played the Bucs. Some are saying, when not by some, I mean on the Chiefs. Mahomes in his pregame interview said it was a revenge game because of the Super Bowl. I'm like, revenge game from 2 years ago. Okay, whatever, fine, right? But we know Mahomes steps up his game when he's playing Tom Brady. So, I get all that. Of course. So far, I've seen the Ravens look like world beaters, and then I've seen them play I thought the Chiefs got out to a great start. Second game against the Chargers, they played and then we know they had a debacle with the Colts, and then obviously they turned it up again. And the Bills came out hot, injuries, of course. So they could be, and I know that's a vague answer, but the Bills could be as well. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from Baltimore, except for their defensive side when it comes to their secondary. And for some reason, when it comes to them covering guys, it's like the 1 second to shut down. That first opening series against Buffalo, they forced Josh Allen to throw one of the most ridiculous picks I ever seen. Like, for example, if I'm trying to hit the 4 behind DJ R&B's right shoulder, they force Allen to throw the ball into the actual phone booth, like that, but they force it and they pick them off. I was like, okay, Baltimore, this is the defense I wanted to see. And then the second half, and which we'll get into that game, I don't know what happened. So I think the Chiefs is up there. They're one of the best teams in the league. And like Devontae said, if they can get that run game going, because Mahomes, he's going to do him. We know 1 or 2 times a game, he's going to have one of those ridiculous things. Another time, he's going to scramble for a first down. We kind of know to expect that, right? But what I was impressed by, and we know Andy Reid is a master at scheming guys open. How he does it, I don't know. When you put 4 receivers on one side, then you got this 6'8" tight end, and you're going to throw a backside slant to him for a touchdown, knowing they can't stop it. That's just genius. But that run game and what I saw from that offensive line really impressed me. Because again, I think the Bucs defensive line is nothing to sneeze at. And the way they controlled them, like with the power game. Look, man, and we know the Chiefs got speed on the outside with the running backs too. So Chiefs going to be a tough out for anybody. So I'm curious to see what happens with that.
My thing is that, like, I know you guys say no, but somebody has to be the best team in the AFC right now. So you can't say, like, I'll say no because this team is looking good. This team might be. So if not the Chiefs, who's the best team in the AFC? One team.
I would still say Buffalo for right now, because although I'm kind of down on them for how they played that first half of the Ravens game, let's not forget, and we're gonna get into that game, but let's not forget they did win the game. Like you know what I mean? Like they won the game. Yeah. And if Josh Allen and the crew can spike the ball in time, they beat Miami too, because that field goal wasn't no 62-yard field goal. It was a 40-yard field goal. Chances are they win that game too. So I'd say Buffalo for right now. Let's get to these comments. But in the meantime, Devontae, go. Who's the best team if you had to pick one in the AFC?
If I had to pick one, I guess you have to go Buffalo. I think they have like the best, like all like they have like if you look at offense and defense, I guess you could say that they have the most at least complete on both sides to a certain extent. I think they've played the better defense and offense together as a collective than most of the other teams that are in like the 2-2, 1-2 situation. Right. So I guess I would have to go Buffalo, but it's too early. Like, bro, like the NFC is like fairly obvious. You got to go Philly right now. You have to go Philly as the best team in the NFC. It's just like every week in the AFC is just wildly different. It's like wild different. You're like, oh, these dudes look elite. Yeah, they trash. Like what happened? Like
different because they had the classic trap game against the Colts, like we all knew, coming off a tough Chargers game, then the Buccaneers game. That was their little throwaway game, which they still could have won at the end. They were still driving downfield for the field goal when Mahomes made his rare dumb throw over the middle, forcing the ball to Travis Kelce. When he could have probably ran it, he was already in field goal range. That was a dumb play. That's another one that they should have won, similar to Buffalo.
Yeah.
So they very could have been 4-0, just like Buffalo at this point.
But if they lose on Monday, I'm not coming on the show the next Tuesday. I'm not listening.
Hold that thought, because we're gonna get into picks later. In the meantime, let's get to these comments. Glenn Foreman, let's not forget KC still has a defensive issue. Don't get fooled by the Bucs game. KC can score, but still gives up way too many points. Not sold on the KC running game. More will be revealed league-wide over the next 3 or 4 weeks. I agree. I've said it. I think this is the end of the preseason officially. I think a lot of teams you're either going to get better or worse, but I think this is where we see teams start to separate. Glenn also said with Mahomes, Andy Reid will abandon a running game and put it all on Mahomes' shoulders. Andy Reid does have a tendency to do that. The run game will be working in the first half, but let's say the team scores on the Chiefs' defense, and all of a sudden it's throw. The way he called that Bucs game, I thought was masterful. Kept Devin White and Levante David, they had to respect the run, which left them susceptible in the pass. Because, when they drop back in the pass coverage or they're blitzing, they're phenomenal. But Andy Reid kept them guessing, and that's one of the reasons why they picked them apart. Levante Armwood, 3-1 Giants, baby. Our offense is terrible, though. Might be on par with the Steelers' offense.
He's a Knicks fan. Don't listen to him. He's delusional.
And we got one from Isaiah Juice. What's good, cuz? Now, Burrow isn't going back to the Super Bowl no time soon. And he also said Philly got the NFC on lock. They got the best defense. Right now, the way Philly is it's another team. Right now, they're firing on all cylinders. I did pick Jacksonville to beat them. And I thought it looked good when they got out to that 14-0 lead. But Philly just roared back like it was nothing, right? like it was nothing, just put them away. Yo, so with that said, let's get into the next game we're talking about. The next game we're talking about is an interesting game that I was a little nervous about. Raiders defeated the Broncos 32-23. My only hope, as I said last week, I wanted the Raiders to run the ball. I was like, if we run the ball and we lose, I'll come back this week not upset. And they ran the ball. They ran the ball well. They actually ran it down Denver's throat. Devontae Adams had about 100 yards receiving. But I want to talk about the Broncos offense. I'm going to start with DJ R&B. What is going on with Denver? Actually, it's a two-part question. One, do you think the Broncos offense is just doomed? And then two, do you think because of the opponents, we kind of overrated their defense?
I think the issue with the Broncos offense is Russell Wilson. A lot of it, what we see when they pay Russell with this big money, big trade, they're thinking they get in the 2018 Russell Wilson, where I'm not saying he's washed up, but he's definitely lost a step. He doesn't evade the rush like he used to, which is his biggest thing. He'll just escape the pocket and make the crazy throw. He doesn't have the foot speed to do that anymore. Look, his arm strength is not as good anymore. And he does get pressured a lot more than he probably thought. I thought the Broncos offensive line was a lot better than that. Lucky for him, the Broncos defense is still elite. So they still in games, but something's going to have to happen. They're going to have to develop a running game or something, because this ain't it.
Devontae, I ask you the same question. Shout out to Kim too for watching.
Okay, so the problem, I think, is Russell Wilson the biggest problem? No, he's a part of the problem. In my opinion, the problem with the Broncos offense is the wide receivers. The wide receivers get this much separation. None. Javonte Williams is pretty much their star offensive player. Torn ACL. Done for the year.
Shout out to him too.
Melvin Gordon had one of the worst fumbles I've seen since Jeremy Hill fumbled against the Bengals in wide open space. One of the worst fumbles I ever saw in the game. Then, yes, the Broncos offensive line is not there. But the problem with the Broncos offense is the wide receivers. Why? Is because there are wide receivers between Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. They play the same position. They literally run the same exact work. You can't have two slot receivers pretty much trying to be deep threats. Nobody's scared of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not Tyreek Hill where they have the speed to do that. They're like, or nobody else. They're not that type of receiver. Like, this reminds me of like when Russ was on the Seahawks and he was going crazy, is because Doug Baldwin, big catch receiver. Tyler Lockett, speed to take the top off.
You're balanced, yeah.
Balance. Two different type of receivers. The Broncos got the same exact receivers with just two different names. Like, it's literally just that simple. Like,
so, of course, I watched the Raider game, and look, Denver's defense got ran over, right? Jacobs had 155 yards himself. I think people forget that Derek Carr, he's not Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, but he don't run a 5 second 40-yard dash either, right? He had about 50 yards rushing because he just took off in the pocket when nobody was open, which I don't know why he hasn't done that more in his career, but hopefully he continues that, because sometimes he'd be in the pocket by himself and then like he'll just take the sack instead of taking off. I'm a little worried about Denver's defense from the pressure standpoint. Yeah, they got to Jimmy G, and of course they played the Seahawks, and they looked good against Geno Smith, even though he kind of picked them apart in the first half. I'm a little worried about Denver from the sense of their play calling, man. Like, I'm saying that as I was rooting for them to lose the game because I needed the Raiders to at least get a win, but they run like a Pop Warner offense. First down, it's a run. Second down, it's either a run or like a little slant to get like 3 to 4 yards. Third down, they're going to run the ball to try to get the first. And then depending on where they are on the field, on the fourth down, they're going to throw like a little play action pass to the tight end. If I know that at home, I know the opposing teams know that.
Yeah, it's very elementary.
So I'm a little worried about the play calling, because like as you know, DJ R&B, that don't go away. I mean, you install the plays in off season for a reason. So like,
you can't really haul a whole playbook mid season.
Right.
Welcome
So
back.
Right.
I don't know what.
Look like Devontae's still in Pittsburgh. So, with that said, one quick question: is Denver going to are they going to finish fourth in the AFC West, or do you think they'll finish? Because right now, I believe they're still second.
Yeah, Denver. Like, I do think they will get it together. My only issue with that, it might be too late.
Okay.
Because that is a tough division. I think once the Chargers get healthy, I think they're going to be in it at the end. Like I said, I think the Chiefs are one of the top teams. They're just lucky that the Raiders happen to be in that division. Who's like Raiders like Pop Warner level. So
right, nah.
Okay, no. But I think the Broncos, they will finish third in that division. Originally, I picked 3 playoff teams out of that division. I just think it's going to be too late by the time the Broncos get it together.
So
I mean, it's between the Broncos and the Raiders at this point. Like, I just don't like. I think the Raiders don't have enough yet. Like, I think this is going to be like a learning curve season for the Raiders, and then they'll be better next year.
Because I think both teams. Because
like you're seeing what, like Devontae Adams is just Devontae Adams. Like, he's just disgusting. But like you're seeing like what you're missing also in your receivers, and like you're still trying to build chemistry with Derek Carr. And like he needs to play, like he played better yesterday, but like he needs to still be more consistent and needs to put more points up in the board. There's no reason why your offense shouldn't be putting points up in the board, especially if you guys are going to run block like that. There's literally zero reason why you should not be putting points up in the board. And I just think Josh McDaniels needs to have a better system, offensive scheme / system, because like your offensive scheme is one of the weirdest offensive schemes I've ever seen. Like, you guys rely more on like Devontae Adams getting just what basically open. You're like, I feel like when you look at Green Bay, the reason why Aaron Rodgers had an MVP year and stuff like that is because they schemed Devontae Adams open. If somebody's playing man with 2 over the top, you guys put him in the slot in like a trips bunch formation to where they can't really double him, or they use picks, or they use those little like little special design.
Yeah.
Look like he's going in and out. There you go. All right, so I picked the Raiders and Broncos to both miss the playoffs because I figured new head coach, new defensive coordinator for both. Well, Broncos got a new quarterback too, but new players all over. Raiders got like 7 players who were on the Patriots last year. So I'm like, I figure both of them are going to need time to kind of whatever. So I figured this year they could play spoiler to the Chargers or the Chiefs, may make them lose some seeding games or something. But I didn't expect them to. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is the Chargers when it comes to, because we know the Chargers, they get out to these hot starts and towards the end somehow what's supposed to be a 13 or 14 somehow turns into 9-8. You know what I mean? So I'm still not completely sold on the Chargers, but I still think it's the Chiefs' division to lose. Let's get to these comments though. Glenn Foreman, how can you say those things about Russell Wilson and not apply the same to Tom Brady? DJ R&B, that is directed at you.
We wasn't talking about Tom Brady. that's the only reason. Like, is this 2007 Tom Brady? No. But I do think Tom Brady, he's still I think I got about number 6 in the quarterback in the league. He's still a pretty good quarterback. He's never moved like Russell. His thing is he's never mobile like Russell Wilson. That was one of Russell Wilson's strengths, is mobility.
Sure.
Tom Brady was never mobile.
And you would have Russ Ware.
Yeah. You said what?
You would have Russ Ware just for conversation purposes. Yeah. Give take.
Probably about number 10.
Okay.
If I was to pick right now, like preseason, I would have had him a lot higher, honestly. But if I was to pick right now, I'd probably about number 10.
All right, got it. Levante Arnwood, Tom Brady was looking old. I think one of the things about guys when they play into their old age,
interception ratio in the NFL right now. If that's old, cool.
Right. But what I am going to say about Brady is, notice how when he got hit last night, 2 nights ago now, when he got hit off that corner blitz and he was on the sideline shaking the arm, I feel like now, in the past he bounces up, he's all right, you know what I mean? But I think now he's just like, yo, that hurt. like you know what I mean?
He's about 70 years old, yeah.
Right. Like he was like, yo, that hurt.
My issue with Tom Brady is mind you, he's smart. He plays in Florida, so it doesn't get cold.
Right.
But if they don't get home field advantage, nothing like that, come January, which I think they will definitely make the playoffs, you got to start traveling to some of these colder cities. Right. That's when I really wonder about Tom Brady. Like, what's going on?
Glenn Foreman, don't forget that the Broncos defense gave up those points to the Raiders. They were pushed around and gashed by the Raiders run game. That's not Russell's fault. So Glenn, he's not sold that it's all on Russell, which I agree. It's not all on Russell, of course, but I do think something is off with Russell Wilson. For right now, I'm still going to hold out hope and say it's just because of the new team, new coach, and everything. But so far, like despite them being 2-2, like he doesn't look good himself. To start, he's missing deep throws and things like that. And we'll make sure Devontae gets back in. Levante, if you take the Eagles out of the equation, who can compete with them in the NFC East?
You talking about the Giants? You guys beat the Titans. You beat the Bears. What's the other team they beat? I forgot who the other team is, but they're not good. And then you got punched in the mouth by the Cowboys. Relax. Relax.
Look, I think Philly is the best team, offense, defense, special teams. I like what I'm seeing from Dallas, but when it comes to that defense that everybody is saying is incredible, I think they got great players on the defense, right? I know a lot of folks rag on Diggs. I think he's good. Obviously, I don't think he's shut down, don't get me wrong, but I think he's a good corner. I think Micah Parsons is good. I was a little concerned with what I saw from him in the run game. It's like if he doesn't chase down the back, and they run at him, he gets moved. You know what I mean? He gets moved. And if he can't get by you with power. He has to swim around you, whatever. Because I noticed Washington just started saying, you know what, we're going to run at him. And Dallas took him out the game. You know what I mean? Because just like we say they figure out offensive players, they also figure out defensive players, right? So I'm curious to see how teams approach Micah Parsons going forward. We know the Dallas plays the Rams this week. So, and last but not least, Isaiah Juice, Tom Dillon with personal issues that I think is affecting him on the field right now. It did come out today that they both hired divorce lawyers. I'm not trying to get into the man's personal business. I mean, look, that's messy. It can go either way. He can that can make somebody play better. That can make somebody play worse. You never know, right? And he said Diggs is overrated. Look, I do think he's overrated if we're saying he's a shutdown corner, because that's what they said initially, because he had all those picks, but he also gave up mad yards and mad touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
He's just a zone corner. That's all it is. It's like
Glenn Foreman, after 4 games, Cowboys D is overrated. Giants only have Saquon. Bottoms up. Saquon's doing his thing. Giants got to find a quarterback.
That was not it.
They should have took
hung out hope for Danny.
They should have took one the last 3
years. You're not gonna be good teams with 71 yards passing. That's not gonna happen. It's not getting 140-something rushing yards every game. There's no way.
Right. All right, yo, let's jump into the next topic, which I know y'all hold near and dear to your heart. And shout out to everybody in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Steelers, as you know, played home this past Sunday against the New York Jets. And halfway through the game, actually at halftime, Kenny Pickett came into the game. First, I want y'all both to quickly describe what happened in the stadium when Pickett came into the game, and then give me your thoughts on, are the Steelers making the right move by putting him into the game? I'm gonna start with Devontae.
I think I have a video of it. Like when he walked out on the field, the crowd erupted. Like that was the loudest cheer of the game. Like the ground started like damn near shaking once they saw him walk out with the helmet on and just jog out there. Like it got so loud they had to tell the stadium to quiet down because they couldn't hear the play because everybody started bugging. Are the Steelers making the right move? 1,000%. Okay, I don't think there's a Steelers fan who's gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you that they're not making the right move. They gave Mr. Trubisky the shot to earn it, and the problem was Did he play horrible? No. The problem was he was too scared to make throws. You can't play quarterback is the last position on the football field you could play with fear in your heart. You can't be complacent. You have to take shots down the field. This is the AFC North. You know what I'm saying? Like look at all the quarterbacks in the AFC North. They throw the ball, they run the ball, they take shots, they dare you to throw, they dare you to do things. Mitch Trubisky just refused to do that, and that's why you saw his ceiling. He didn't even run like he used to. And this is to say, I'm like 3 or 4 years ago, what Mitch Trubisky was what going to the playoffs with the Bears, beating Russell Wilson. And then he beat somebody else I can't even remember right now. But like, and what did he do that with? Being a mobile quarterback and how he ran with the football. Did he do that? No. Do I think Kenny Pickett gave us a better chance to win? Yes, because let's be real here. We went up 20-10 the moment he walked into the game. like he threw interceptions, but listen, one interception, Chase Claypool, you got to catch that. There was no reason why he shouldn't have caught that. Then the second one, he threw the Pat Fryer move. Pat Fryer move should have caught that too. It was the ball too high? Yes, but Dog should have caught that too. There was no reason why he should have caught that ball. And then the third one was a Hail Mary to try to win the game. That's not like, I don't think that's like, it's not that deep. But do I think the Steelers are going to be better off with Kenny Pickett? 99.9% yes. Do I think we still got a lot more work to do? Yes, it's not even close. Yes, like, come on now. Like, we still need, at the end of the day, we still got to fire our offensive coordinator. He got to go. I know you remember South Park. Blame Canada, blame Canada, blame Canada. Like, he got to go. Like, he got out the door. But we got so much talent. George Pickens is that boy going to be a star. Just wait on it. We got a lot of talent in the right places. Right now, we just got to get TJ Watt back because this defense look ugly.
DJ R&B, take it away. Your thought, the moment when Pickett came into the game, and then are the Steelers making the right move by throwing them to the wolves, as I call it?
Yeah, the stadium erupted. At first, from the time Mitch Trubisky first stepped on the field, everybody in the crowd was chanting, Kenny. So I'm like, bro, it's like Mitch Trubisky was a heel. I'm like, which I kind of feel bad for the man, because like he would have had to have a MVP kind of caliber season,
right?
Just to, like, you literally getting booed in your home stadium. Like,
right.
Everybody wants the rookie to play. And it's not like Trubisky, even in the preseason, that he like completely outplayed everybody. They was neck and neck in the preseason.
Sure.
And he happened to get the nod. I'm like, if it's close, you got to go with the rookie. Obviously, Trubisky, that's not the person you think is going to be your quarterback of the future. That's Pickett. That's why you drafted him. He's the one you want as the future. And a lot of football is like, it's all energy. It's all about energy. So when he stepped on the field, you can just look at the offense, look at the defense.
Yep.
Everybody was so much more energized. It's just there. And like Devontae mentioned with Trubisky, he's scared to throw the ball. Because going back watching these games on a lot of these receivers, they're not getting open. You watching it, they're open. Mind you, this is the NFL. You're not going to get wide open unless it's like a double, triple move. Nine times out of 10, you got to throw them open.
Absolutely.
That's what to do. Unless you like wide open, he's just going to hold the ball. And for some reason, he's scared to run these days. Kenny Pickett, he came out there. He came out there like he owned a team, like he done this a millions of times. And that's just something you can't teach. You either got a heart or you don't. You can't teach that.
No, that's fair. So at first I was questioning, right? I'm like, okay, I'm happy to see Pickett out there, happy to see what he can do. We know, you know what I mean? But at first I was nervous about the move, because I feel like the Steelers, I don't feel like their offense around him is ready yet to have a rookie quarterback, in the sense of their running game is still not quite there. And I love Najee Harris, but something, either the blocking scheme ain't right, and I know at Alabama he had a vision problem where sometimes the hole will be right here and my man want to cut back here for no reason. But when I heard, I think it was Deontay Johnson after the game, get so hyped about when he recalled when Pickett came in the game, at this point you got to start him now, right? And I think it did come out he is the starter going forward.
Yeah, he started.
But so if the players want him, I'm all for it. Cool, right? I have no issue with him starting. I'm a little bit worried because the Steelers offensive line, for whatever reason, and I've known all five of those individual players are not bad players, but maybe it's the OC, like Devontae saying, something is off with the Steelers run game. And for going back to Bell, Willie Parker, Rashad Mendenhall, all of them, the Steelers know they could run the damn ball.
Yeah, that's the most troubling part of it for the Steelers. It's like,
right.
Yeah, like, yes, I think it's a combination of the scheme, the offensive line and Najee Harris, he has vision problems.
Yeah.
This is not Alabama when you're playing a D4 school and you just got a huge hole open up the middle. These days, you got to get the ball. You got to read your blocks and like hit the hole. You can't he just like hesitate looking for a wide open hole, and that's not there.
Right.
I don't know if the NFL is too fast for him, but he needs to adjust quickly. Because he's going to end up with a lot of garbage yards like he did last year. Oh my God, he did such a good rookie season. But if you watch the game, that was not a good rookie season.
Look, and like as much as I like Josh Jacobs, the game he had against Denver, Najee Harris should have had a few of those going. You know what I mean? 28 carries, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's running folks over in the end zone. He should have had at least about 4 or 5 of those games so far. Not just the season. I'm talking about his young NFL career. Yeah. I'm a little nervous with their run game, man.
It's because like we're not running no real success. Like for example, if you have an offensive line to struggle, who is like struggling. First off, the last 2 games we lost between the Jets and the Browns, I don't think it has nothing to do with the actual offensive line. One, the Cleveland game was all just Mitch Trubisky being afraid to throw the ball. Because there was holes, right? The offensive line Myles Garrett, you didn't even know he was out there.
Sure.
He didn't have the sack or nothing the entire game. You look at this game and you see that you can't, if your offensive line is struggling, why would you have them blocking like 5-on-5 basically? Where are like the double tight end sets? Where are like the jumbo packages? Like where are the jumbo packages where you can get more pressure? Misdirection. The problem is they want this offense to just be so East and West Coast instead of full power North and South. And that's really what it needs to be. Like the best thing a rookie quarterback can have is a play action pass game to get them adjusted to where you can run the ball, play action pass. But no, instead, but then when we run successfully, we go away from it. We'll get down, like Najee will get like a 6-yard gain, then a 2-yard gain, then it will be like 3rd and 3 or something like that. Then they want to throw a deep fade route. What are you doing? Like, no, like
they got to get together like now because we got a tough couple of games. We got Buffalo, Tampa Bay, then Philadelphia, like
in New Orleans. Like we don't,
not New Orleans, but we should
Philly. Yeah, Philly. My bad, I meant Philly. You got Philly right after that.
We got to get it together quick. Yeah.
And this is the point of the year where the season can either go great or get away from you in a hurry. Ugly. So
see, after this stretch, after the next about 4 games, that's when you know, okay, you gonna tank for a draft pick or you fighting for a top playoff seed. That's pretty much what you know.
Right.
I don't think you could tank for alignment in this draft coming up either.
Let's get into some of these comments. Glenn Foreman, Pittsburgh. I thought we were talking about a pro football.
Come on.
Obviously, the AFC North is strong. Glenn Foreman again. Mike Tomlin is Pyru. I like put the man's business out there. Levante, Zach Wilson gritty on y'all, Pastor Wilson. Look, I know y'all want to see the Steelers win. I know y'all want to see the Steelers win. I'm actually impressed with what Zach Wilson did. I know TJ Watt is out, of course, but he actually played well in that 4th quarter. I still think Pittsburgh probably should have won because with that defense, you got that lead. You should be able to hold on to that game. But
the defense blew that game.
Yeah,
that's on the defense.
I am impressed with what
that's on the defense. You let Zach Wilson drive down the field. That's on the defense.
Glenn Foreman, go ahead.
Even though the game ended, you guys, Reggie, the game ended in the weirdest way. Like, because Dog definitely fumbled, and then like after the review, randomly he broke the plane, and then touchdown, game over.
And they say he crossed the plane on the fumble, like
what is that? And then 2, to get down there, Zach Wilson do a perfect ball right to Corey Davis. Corey Davis dropped the ball. That didn't get reviewed. Okay. Minkah Fitzpatrick caught 2 picks, not 1, but 2. Well, they said he was out of bounds. Why didn't we challenge? And I'm not saying like it's the ref's fault, but I'm looking at Mike Tomlin like, yo, bro, we got to throw some challenges in there or something. Because like you look at these on camera now, it's like, hey, yo, like, was this discussed? Like, what? Yo, like, what are we doing here? Like,
it was under 2 minutes. They had to come from the booth.
Right.
Yeah.
Comment from Judy Stazak. I love that you guys are doing this. 100% heart. Appreciate that, Judy. Thank you for checking it out. Feel free to share it so that way more people will see it. Regarding the touchdown on the broadcast, they showed that play probably 1,000 times on the broadcast. he definitely did break the plane. He definitely broke the plane.
It was
he broke
weird.
the plane.
Like,
it's
it was
definitely
just
a
such
touchdown.
a weird. It was just such a weird ending to a game. You
Because,
know what I mean?
of course, in the stadium, you don't hear the announcers, so
Right.
I'm thinking they challenging the fumble. If you recovered it, then they came back after reviewing the play. They caused a plain touchdown, and they said it like
Right.
mad quick and
Facts. And it was like
what?
facts. Like they were like, please put 9 seconds left on the game clock. We're like, oh
Right.
yeah, this is over now. Like I don't even know how to feel. Like this is weird. Like
Right. Glenn Foreman, don't forget, Steelers has always been a run first offense.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
All right, so let's jump into this next game. Obviously, Baltimore was putting it on the Bills, as they say. They were beating the Bills, I believe it was 20-3, and they let Buffalo come back. This is the second time Baltimore has blown a big lead. Obviously, the controversial thing was instead of taking 3 points to go up 3 and let the defense sort it out with Buffalo's offense, they decided to go for it. Lamar Jackson immediately got pressure, which was crazy because Baltimore's offensive line was playing pretty good that game. And all of a sudden, he threw a pick in the end zone. Did Harbaugh cost Baltimore the game, or did the Bills just come back and beat them? I'm going to start with DJ R&B.
The Bills came back and beat them. I would say, like, this is the most impressive Bills when they had this far, even more than, like, the blowouts they had first couple of weeks.
Sure.
But the Bills this season, they've been Mike Tyson. If you can just last them, you can get a few punches in the early, you can last them, you take them out the element, you got them. This one, the Bills actually showed some resilience. They was actually down. And even throughout his career, if you look at it, Josh Allen, his record in close games is not
horrible,
good.
Yeah.
He doesn't win close games. So this is very impressive on there. Now, if I was the Ravens, would I have taken the points? Absolutely. But I do see what he was saying in terms of his defense. The Bills are basically moving that wheel the whole second half. So he's like, well, we take the 3 points. They got to come down and get a touchdown. But I'm like, they came down and got a field goal. So, like, either way, like, damn if you don't. But I think that one is definitely on the Bills. They showed a lot of resilience on that one.
Devontae?
This joint is on Harbaugh, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to do my Stephen A impression. Here's why you're wrong. Now I'm playing. You look at how my Steelers are getting scrutinized and stuff like about our offensive line. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers we're talking about. You guys always run the ball. Look at you guys have no run game. We're not going to discuss at all what happened to the Baltimore Ravens defense. This is the Ravens we're talking about. The Ravens are known for defense.
Always been a defensive team.
If you look at the mid 2000s or 2010s, 9 times out of 10, all those teams, if you look at the best defenses from those decades, Patriots, Steelers, Ravens, always in the top 5.
Ravens started.
Always in the top 5. Now, and now look how times have changed with them now, where like Lamar is playing lights out. Like Lamar is doing everything he possibly can. You pretty much got to write him a blank check at the end of this season. You finally got him to be able to throw. You can see him being a pocket passer. You can see him throwing the ball, throwing strikes to dudes like Devin Duvernay. Like he's doing his job. They're scoring points. But now you look at your defense, and it's like, whether it's the calls, the personnel, this is the Baltimore Ravens we're talking about. There's no reason why you shouldn't have won that game, especially when, if you really look at it in hindsight, this is probably one of the more talented offenses he's probably ever had.
Right.
Like, he never had think about it. Joe Flacco, your Ray Rice. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were good, but like they were good because their defense is so good to where you're holding points. But back then, those Ravens teams was winning 21 points tops, 21-7. 21-10. Now you got an offensive juggernaut in Lamar Jackson who's dual threat. You got all this, and the one thing you're normally good at you can't do is get defense. Nah, this falls on the Ravens. This falls on the Ravens to me.
Yeah. So just like I told Devontae years ago when Steelers had the killer bees, Ben and Antonio and Le'Veon Bell, I said if the Steelers don't run the ball and have a dominant run game and a great defense, I can't see them winning a Super Bowl again. And with Baltimore, if they can't play defense, it's the same thing. If I think of the Ravens, I'm thinking of Ray Lewis and Suggs and Ed Reed and Bart Scott and Haloti Ngata and those guys. And like now I'm like, yo, You had 2 games where Lamar Jackson and company was putting it on them, right? They couldn't tackle Lamar. The run game was back. Lamar was hitting throws, and you blown 2 leads so far. There's no way in hell Baltimore should be 2-2
at all.
No way. They came out. They punched the Dolphins in the mouth. They punched Buffalo in the mouth. At the halftime, I'm ready to come on this show saying Baltimore's the best team in the league based on the way they played the first half of that game. But right on schedule, all of a sudden they can't finish games anymore, and that's in certain.
And they can't win at home. They lost a home game, and that makes no sense. Like,
right. And for those of you who know, when you used to go into Baltimore, unless you were Pittsburgh, who play there twice a year, you know what I mean, or Cincy, who play there twice a year.
It's a rough city. It's a rough place to
play. It is not an easy place to play. And the fact they lost 5 at home is a little concerning. Like, I literally came in here, was like, maybe Baltimore's the best team in the league. But they blew the league, and now I'm completely worried about going forward. Like, because you got teams in the league all across the league who could score, right? Seattle and the Lions just put up 48 and 45.
That was wild.
Like,
that was wild.
So let's get to these comments though. Glenn Foreman, don't forget, Steelers have always been a run first offense. Absolutely, that's exactly what we said. Levante, Ravens defense is terrible. Jackson going to have to outscore every team. And if that's the case, Ravens going to win about 8-9. I think he could do it about 4 or 5 more times, which may get them a wild card, but it may not. Right. They got to play some defense.
Yeah, got to play defense.
And the sad part is you look at the roster, they got players. It's not like their defense is like they're a bunch of whack players. Like, I don't know what's going on like schematically, but Harbaugh needs to be on the lookout, man, because if you can't get that defense going, then you don't need to be the coach of Baltimore. Certain guys, if you and we said it about Tomlin, like if you can't get the Steelers defense going, which he did, of course, but if you can't get them going, then you're not the right coach, because Pittsburgh, Baltimore team
play defense.
New England, they play defense always. You know what I mean? So Glenn Foreman, Ravens D will be okay, but Buffalo beat them. Look, shout out to the Bills, man, because when Lamar Jackson took them down the field, I did say Buffalo about to lose another close game. But they didn't. Josh Allen did his thing in the second half, and they won. I think both teams going forward, I'm still like, I want to anoint them, but not yet. You know what I mean? So, like DJ R&B said, Kansas City might be the best team only because they did what they usually do, right? If you keep the game close, Mahomes is going to put the game away. Or they'll just blow you out the water, whereas Buffalo, they can blow you out with the best of them, right? Baltimore can blow you out with the best of them usually. But them close games is where they both start playing sloppy. Glenn Foreman, watch out for Cincy. We know. But then again, Cincinnati, because of that, they're right back in it now. With Cincinnati being 2-2, Baltimore's 2-2. Cleveland just lost to Atlanta, and Pittsburgh lost to the Jets. So I think Cincinnati's now in second place? Where they were dead last initially. So all right.
Division, you got 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, 1-3.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's all close. Yeah. All right, so the last thing we're talking about before we just get into game picks and comments, Baker Mayfield, man. And look, when he came into the league, I liked Baker. I really did. But now I'm starting to get concerned. I think because of who he is, teams will give him a chance as a backup or something. But I'm gonna start with Devontae on this. Right now, Baker, the defense kind of been carrying Carolina, and now all of a sudden Baker can't even throw past the line of scrimmage without having it bat down, which wasn't a problem in Cleveland like that. How does his future look going forward?
I think when they got him, when they signed him, Baker wasn't gonna be no franchise quarterback. No, let me put it this way. I watch a lot of Baker's games because he played for the Browns. And I've always had and even when the Browns were like, everybody thought they were a powerhouse juggernaut, had the way they ran the ball and played defense and all that stuff, right? I told you this every day I watched them on the Cleveland Browns. If you play the Cleveland Browns close, they will lose the game. They will lose the game. If they don't blow you out the water running the ball and running the clock, they will lose the game. And 90 times out of 10, they lost the game if you played them close, because all they did was run the ball. And once they had to get in the sets and throw the ball, they lost. and you look at Baker Mayfield now, you realize he's just like a Mitch Trubisky, Alex Smith, game manager. Look, but listen, get them out the huddle, try to control the clock. Don't do too much. Don't screw it up. But the thing is, difference is between them and all those guys, just that people just don't like Baker Mayfield because of his attitude, who he is. He's a jerk. He's a jerk. And the thing is about a jerk, he's a jerk who doesn't prove really anything. And that's the tough part and the stigma. But also, I give him a little bit of a pass also because it's Carolina. Matt Rule's not the greatest coach. Christian McCaffrey is hurt 99% of the time. Great player, always hurt. Robbie Anderson, always hurt. DJ Moore, always hurt. So it's like he doesn't have the best position either. It's the Panthers. They weren't going to be, nobody thought the Panthers was going to be nice this year.
DJ R&B, same question to you. How does Baker's futures look?
You actually got to run, but real quick, Baker, he's trash. Like, he'll be in a Canadian Football League next year. Like, it just is what it is. Like I'm surprised they picked him up because I thought he was actually good in college at Oklahoma. He was good. He's a little Sooner boomer. Then he got to the Browns and like rookie year. All right, cool. He's a rookie. Second year, like, yeah, this ain't it.
Right.
So, man, I'm surprised the Panthers even picked him up, to be honest. He's trash.
Yo, appreciate DJ R&B you stopping by the show, of course. Yo, you can find him at the DJ R&B and appreciate him coming. And me and Devontae going to close this out. So personally, I think Baker Mayfield, I think he's going to be a career backup. I think at this point, I think Alex Smith is better than him. I think to say he's a game manager, and I think that's a little bit of an insult to game managers. And the reason why I say that, when I think game manager, I think of 2013, 2014 Russell Wilson. That's a game manager. Takes care of the ball, besides that NFC Championship game. Gets to the right play, takes care of the ball, makes throws on third down when he has to. That's not Baker. For some reason, why he can't throw the ball past the line of scrimmage right now is a little concerning to me. Like, and I know I'm not just talking about the Arizona game because we know J.J. Watt, like that's what he does, right? Yeah. It's like every other pass is getting batted down, and I'm like, what is going on? That wasn't a problem in Cleveland. Like that was not a problem in Cleveland. Why is it happening all of a sudden?
I think he's trash, and the Panthers is trash.
I think Sam Darnold's going to take his job back, and mark my words, and of course we'll cover it. I think Sam Darnold's going to come back and win about 3-4 games in a row because I think Sam Darnold at this point is better than Baker. And he's more athletic. So worst come to worst, if he gets out the pocket, he can actually run. Let's get to these comments. Glenn Foreman, Baker Mayfield will be the quarterback of Pittsburgh. If Pickett wasn't there, if the Pittsburgh Panthers, if Pickett was not there, would you take Baker over Trubisky?
Hell no.
Okay.
I would just say tank for the year and try to go get a quarterback at that point.
Levante Arnwood, Baker was my guy. Can't stuck up for him no more. That's a lot of folks. A lot of people stuck up for Baker. And it wasn't all bad. He had some great moments in the NFL. But at this point, I don't know what's going on, but he needs to fix it. And to close this out, last but not least, Glenn Foreman, is Baker issue mental or physical? Devontae, I'm going to leave that for you. Or a mixture of both.
It's a mixture of both, but I would say it's like a 60, it's like a 55-45. No, I lied. I'm lying. It's like 90%. No, it's like 80% mental, physical, percent 20, because he just thinks he's better than what he is. He's not a franchise quarterback. He hasn't earned the right to have the ego he does, or like earn like you ain't do nothing yet, bro. Like you haven't done nothing yet. You haven't won a playoff game yet. Like you haven't done a lot of these things in the NFL yet to where you think you're a franchise guy. You're just not, bro. Like, so it's like there's definitely more mental. You better get those progressive commercials right in the
absolutely
because it's not looking pretty for you right now.
Absolutely. The last thing I'm gonna say about Baker is one thing I'm tired of seeing him is trying to spin out the pocket and run for the first down. He keeps getting chased down because he's not that fast for NFL speed. Of course, he's not that fast. We got one that came in at the last second. Levante, he's won a playoff game. I think that was more about the run game. Pittsburgh playing bad. Look, and Baker played well in that game. He hit the open receivers. Do not get me wrong. I'm not as big on the quote unquote so-and-so won a playoff game as a lot of folks are. To me, that's not even a stat. I don't care about that. Like, I think, like, for example, Herbert has never played in the playoffs. Baker has won a playoff game. Herbert is better than Baker. Like, so I personally don't care about that stat. But yo, that's what we got for this week's show. Next week, we're gonna, of course, come back. We'll put out the game picks since DJ R&B had to go. But first, let's pick the Thursday night game. Colts, Broncos, Devontae. Who do you got?
That's the most boring Thursday night game on the damn planet. But I guess I'm gonna go with the Broncos. So I think Matt Ryan is absolutely trash.
I'm gonna go Colts in a close one. I think Jonathan Taylor, even though he's a little banged up, will play well. I think Matt Ryan at this point, he's gonna play okay every other game, and that's that. So yo, Devontae, let everybody know where they can find you. Of course, you know you can find me at my Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, JB to Infinity. Devontae, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me everywhere at Devontae Forever or Devontae Foreman. Get at me. Jay, thank you.
No doubt. Appreciate y'all. Devontae, I'm going to catch you next week. We out.
All right,
Peace.
bro. Peace.